Hello and welcome to your YouTube channel, your digital classroom Study with Sudhir, and I am S Sudhir. Today we are going to be looking at a poem in the ICSE Class 10 syllabus of English literature, and that is Abou Ben Adhem, and that's written by Leigh Hunt. What kind of a poem is this? Now this is a very feel-good kind of a poem, and it's a story, it's a poem about a young boy who gets to meet an angel at night when he's sleeping. And the theme that has been reinforced in this particular poem is the theme of peace, the theme of love, the theme of being a good human being. That's the broad narrative in this particular poem about Ben Adhem. And Ben Adhem is the protagonist of this particular poem by Leigh Hunt, who gets to meet the angel and gets to interact with the angel. So it is essentially the story of this interaction with the angel of this small boy, of this young boy. But though it's a very short poem, it's also a very powerful poem because it tells you the larger messaging about what the role of mankind is and what our relationship with different people on Mother Earth should be like. So let's get started with the poem. And before we start with the poem, the basic rules that I have set and which I would expect you students to follow, that is to keep the book in front of you, keep a pencil to scribble on the sides, because that I always believe is very helpful, and also for you to underline the keywords so that you can use those keywords when you are writing your answer in the examination paper. Also keep a notebook and keep a pen so that you can write down the major explanation. Whenever you think I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video, rewind a bit, listen to it, because I would really want you to kind of use some of the good phrases that I use in this particular video, in this particular lesson, so that your answer ends up looking strong and well articulated. Because an examiner will always feel very happy if a particular answer, apart from giving the basic details that the questions will seek, is able to kind of explain, put it in perspective, give the context in a very well-rounded and good language. So that should really be the effort on your part while preparing for the examination, about 5 months from now? Okay, not much time, so let's get started. Abou Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace. Very important line that the poet has actually said right in the first sentence. He says, Abou Ben Adhem, that is about Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase. So right in the first line of the poem, the poet Leigh Hunt has actually given a certificate. He has endorsed boys like Ben Adhem because he believes they are good people. So he believes that may his tribe increase. Tribe means people like Ben Adhem, that there should be more people like Ben Adhem on this planet Earth. So he is endorsing boys like him, character like him, in order to make the world a better place, right? So Abou Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace. Peace, which I mentioned, is one of the major themes of this particular poem. So it also refers, when he uses a phrase like deep dream of peace, it also conveys a very pure and a very good heart. So Ben Adhem, the poet, is kind of telling the reader right at the beginning that one, he endorses boys like Ben Adhem. Number two, that he was of a pure and a good heart, and that's why he was able to sleep very peacefully. And saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in bloom. The fourth point that I have written out here on the whiteboard, the use of imagery. Please note that these are the key words. Moonlight, like a lily in bloom. Just look at the imagery. The moment you think of a lily in bloom, the white flowers, because they look extremely resplendent, they make for a wonderful sight, and that's a kind of imagery that Leigh Hunt has used in order to give you a very positive image inside Ben Adhem's bedroom. The use of moonlight as a word, because when you have the streaming rays of the moon falling into the room, it gives you a sense of peace, it gives you a sense of whiteness inside the room. That is what Leigh Hunt has used, the use of imagery, which is extremely evocative. evocative. Making it rich. Rich is another key word, because it also conveys a very rich kind of texture. the room looks very rich as a result of the lily in bloom. It looks like the lily in bloom because that's the way the poet has described the moonlight in his room. An angel writing in a book of gold. Now, angels have always been associated with a halo over their head, a lot of light which is kind of radiating from their bodies. So that's a kind of imagery the poet is using to kind of convey that is what is happening inside Ben Adhem's bedroom. The dream of peace, it's a peaceful dream that he is seeing. He's of a pure good heart, and it's a dream also which kind of soothes and calms one's mind. The word rich, as I said, is one of the key words. Is used in the poem to mean that the atmosphere of the room was made very nice and better by the moonlight which was streaming into the room. Like lily in bloom is a simile in terms of figure of speech. It's a simile where a comparison is made that the room is looking as though thousands of lilies are blooming, and where the beautiful atmosphere of moonlit room is compared to the blooming lilies. A book of gold, an angel writing in the book of gold. An angel, another thing which is usually associated with angels is that they use golden color books. If you have seen the typical book of an image of an angel, it will have a halo over the head and a book which is of gold. And while it may literally mean a book of gold, it also means something which is again extremely expensive, costly, and also something which is very, very pure. So gold, again, an imagery which has been used to convey a particular emotion, a typical atmosphere, both associated with the angel and also now by extension inside Ben Adhem's room. Okay, let's go to the second stanza. Exceeding peace had made Ben Adhem bold. Now, because he's of a very peaceful disposition, a peaceful mannerism, a peaceful attitude to life, that had also made him extremely bold. He was not fearful. He was pretty courageous. He didn't get scared of anyone. So when he saw the angel inside his room, he did not get perturbed. He did not get scared. And he was bold enough to actually interact and ask questions to the angel. Exceeding peace had made Ben Adhem bold. He did not feel intimidated by the angel's presence. And to the presence in the room, he said, "What writest thou? What are you writing?" The vision raised its head. Now, the angel has been referred to as a vision, right? So, in this case, by chance, if the first three sentences of this particular stanza are the ones which are coming in your examination, one of the questions that could be asked is, who is the vision referred to by the poet? So, the vision referred to by the poet is the angel. It's another word which has been used by the poet, because in a sense it's also a vision. Angels may not really be true, right? They are not human beings. It's an imagination by Ben Adhem while he's thinking of the angel. So it's a vision as well, and with a look made of all sweet accord. Accord means a good disposition, harmony, of a harmonious kind of a nature. Answered, which means the angel is a very positive kind of an influence, which is why they use a word accord has been used, which suggests a harmonious disposition, a harmonious nature. Answered, the names of those who love the Lord. That in my book I am writing the names of all those people who love the Lord, who love God, right? So exceeding peace had made Ben Adhem bold, and to the presence in the room. Presence, vision, two words which have been used almost like a synonyms, like to describe the angel. And what writest thou? The vision raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet accord answered, the names of those who love the Lord. Right? When you speak of the vision raised its head, it also kind of conveys a very supernatural presence inside the room, right? So the supernatural element is also a part and parcel of this particular poem. And is mine one? That's the second question that Ben Adhem asked. First he asked, what are you writing? And then he asked whether my name is also there among those people who love the Lord. Nay, not so. No, your name is not there, replied the angel. Abou spoke more low. Why did he speak low? Because obviously he was a little disappointed not to find his name among the list of people who love the Lord. But cheerly still, but immediately he kind of gets back to his cheerful disposition, to his cheerful manner, and said, I pray thee then, Write me as one who loves his fellow men. Okay, if my name is not there among those who love the Lord, write me, include me in the list of people who love other human beings. What does it convey? It conveys that he believes that even if he is not among those whose name is the figures in the list of people who love God, he would want something almost equal to that, which is people who love other human beings. So in Ben Adhem's book, in Ben Adhem's understanding, loving God is as important or is equal to loving other fellow human beings. So that is something which tells you a lot about Ben Adhem's attitude towards life, right? So in the second stanza, we come to know that the atmosphere in the room had made, and his peaceful and cheerful disposition had made him bold enough to ask questions to someone, to a stranger at that, to an angel who is a stranger. Stanza 3. The angel wrote and vanished. The angel wrote and vanished. The next night it came again with a great awakening light. What is a great awakening light? It is again use of positive imagery by the poet Leigh Hunt. So it's a light which kind of woke up Ben Adhem from his sleep, and showed the names whom love of God had blessed. And lo, Ben Adhem's name led all the rest. Listening to the request of Ben Adhem, the angel disappeared, but it came back the next night with the same kind of light which made Ben Adhem wake up once again. What's the kind of light? We have been spoken about. We have been told about moonlight. We have been told about how lilies are in bloom. And then the angel showed him the list of names who are blessed by God, who are blessed by the love of God. And to Ben Adhem's surprise, Abou Ben Adhem's name was on the top of the list, which means that God also understood, the angel also understood that loving other human beings is as important as loving God. So this is essentially a poem which talks about the interaction of this young boy with an angel, and it leaves you with a very, very thoughtful and positive image. What do we know about Ben Adhem? One, that he is a believer. He believes in God, and for him that is a very important aspect to his character, to his personality. Number two, and I would want you to keep jotting down these points because they are important, because that's one of the usual questions which would come as to what does it tell us about Ben Adhem's character, what does it tell about Ben Adhem's personality. One, he is a believer in God. Number two, he is a cheerful boy, he is of a cheerful disposition. How do we know that? Because even when he finds that his name is not on the list of people who love the Lord, he is disappointed to an extent, but he immediately turns back to his cheerful disposition. He remains cheerful. Number three, what do we know about Ben Adhem? He does not feel intimidated by the presence of the angel. Since he is of a peaceful disposition, he slept in a deep dream of peace, which shows that he had a good and a pure heart, right? And lastly, he believes that loving fellow human beings is as important as loving God. So through this simple story, what the poet has managed to convey is that the highest form of worshipping / loving God is to love one's fellow human beings. And the simplicity with which and the use of positive imagery with which he has been able to convey this particular emotion is what makes this poem so very beautiful to read and to enjoy. Then of course there is also the supernatural element that we spoke about. All this could be a figment of Ben Adhem's imagination. He would have just probably dreamt this, he would have just imagined something like this, fantasized something like this. So we do not know whether it really happened, because we do not know about the presence of angels. So it could well be the supernatural genre, the supernatural element that has been used by the poet to convey this particular message, a very different use of technique, of poetic technique, to drive home the point that loving other human beings is as important as loving God. Okay, the third point is that the poet takes the liberty to present the message in a way that the aesthetic beauty of the message reaches the heart of the people, reaches the minds of the people. So therefore the supernatural encounter of sorts is plotted to present the poet present the message in a more interesting kind of manner, because that's how it would interest a more number of people. It also makes a critique of mankind, because most people believe that okay, we need to be there who love God, and loving other human beings is probably not as important. But here he making the point very emphatically that loving other human beings is as important. In the first stanza, first line, I referred to may his tribe increase, and if you see that there is an exclamation mark that the poet has put about it, that is the poet's way, one of affirming that he does believe that there should be more people like Abou Ben Adhem. It also is a way of expressing his happiness and approval at boys like Ben Adhem. Then we come to the use of classical English and the poetic device that the poet has used in this particular poem. One, he has used dialogues in this poem, which kind of gives it a sense of realism, makes it more realistic that there is actually an interaction that might have taken place between this young boy and the angel. Number two, he uses classical English. And why does he use classical English? Use phrases like, what writest thou? Right? I pray thee. That is because he's interacting with an angel. An angel is less likely to speak in the kind of English that you and I speak, which is why the use of classical English by Leigh Hunt to give it a certain flavor, a certain classical beauty of sorts. So that is again a poetic device which has been used. So two poetic devices used. One is the use of classical English and the other is the use of dialogues in this particular short poem. So in that sense, it's a very clever literary tactic and ploy used by Leigh Hunt. I referred to the use of imagery, the use of similes like a lily in bloom, and of course the fact that the theme of peace, the theme of love is again a recurring theme through this particular poem. So that's essentially about Abou Ben Adhem by Leigh Hunt, which is one of the poems in your English 2 paper in class 10, and I hope it's pretty clear as to what is really the theme and you would have understood it. And if you have any doubts, do leave your comments on this particular page, and I would get back to you in case if there are any doubts. If you want more explanation, of course we will be looking at the Q&A also closer to the examination, so that this particular poem and its various themes are absolutely clear. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also press on the bell icon so that you can get regular updates every time we post a new video about a new chapter from English, History, Civics, Geography, Biology on this particular YouTube channel, Study with Sudhir. Thank you very much for watching.